Well, good morning, everybody. Mark Finan here in the home weather office on this Friday morning. It is now the 28th day of June, 2024. This is the morning briefing coming to you from the home weather office. And as I look out the window, it is a beautiful Friday morning. Clear skies, comfortable temperatures. As a matter of fact, the Tahoe area woke up to temperatures in the upper 30s this morning. And the valley also quite comfortable. And it is going to be a warm but not overly hot day. Look for temperatures in the mid-90s. And the weekend is going to be warm but also not overly hot. Next week, of course, is going to be hot. And shortly after I recorded yesterday, I started getting texts and messages and tweets, people showing me their apps, showing me the temperatures that are forecast on their phones for next week, and showing me that next Saturday it's going to be 119 or 120, depending on where your app was. Let's talk a little bit about apps. Yeah, some apps certainly have a usefulness, and I know that a lot of you like them. It's convenient, it's easy. You just look on your phone, and it spits out the numbers that you want to see. But you have to remember that an app doesn't have any quality control on it at all. There's no person behind it that's looking at the data to make sure that it's true or accurate. It just spits out raw data. And that raw data coming off the models does not, especially when it's 10 days out, it does not take into consideration any sort of local impacts. Like for our area, like a Delta breeze, it doesn't take that sort of thing into consideration. It's just spitting out raw data. The other interesting thing I find on apps is it'll spit out a percentage chance of precipitation. As a matter of fact, I looked at one this morning, and today we have a 1% chance of rain. Saying there's a chance of rain. That's ridiculous. It's not going to rain. And I've seen people use them and trying to figure out, let's say, where they're going to play golf on Saturday. And they say, well, my app says in Folsom there's a 15% chance, but in Roseville there's an 18% chance. So let's play in Folsom because it's better chance it's going to rain in Roseville. Using apps for data like that is absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, they do have some usefulness. They might be able to tell you when it's going to rain. But if it's something that's going to be significant, you really do need to trust a meteorologist, somebody that is going to be able to know your local area, know the local impacts, and be able to sort out the spurious data from the models and make it something more reasonable. The way I think about apps is it's like having a friend that often lies to you, but you keep asking them for advice anyway. I see this all the time. The apps aren't accurate, but then people will tweet me a picture of an app, and then next time they'll come back and they'll do the same thing again. My app says this. Is this going to happen? Well, no, it wasn't right last time, and it's not going to be right this time. But all that said, is it going to be hot next week? Yes, it is going to be hot next week. So let's get into that. Let's actually just start with this morning. We have a good-looking morning, but once again, we have some marine layer, and there is going to be a little bit of an onshore breeze. And that's why over the course of this weekend, what we're going to see is daytime highs in the valley in the 90s, but we'll stay under 100 degrees in the morning, should be pretty comfortable. And also, we're starting to see more impacts of that smoke coming off that complex of fires that's burning east of Fresno. And you can see that smoke here as the sun comes up, and some of that smoke drifting over Nevada and into Utah here as well. So that area of fires really needs to be watched because it doesn't look as though it's going out anytime soon. And eventually, as the winds shift, we may get some of that smoke up into the Central Valley or into the foothills or the Sierra. So let's take a look at the big picture and show you what's happening here and why next week is going to be hot. And like I said, I'm not doubting the apps telling you that it's going to be hot next week. That's what we're all saying. But it's the exact numbers that are going to be, given a little bit more scrutiny over the next couple of days. This is as we go through the weekend. A little trough going by, helping to induce more of that onshore breeze and keeping temperatures in a range that isn't too far from average for this time of year. Average high is 92 for Sacramento now, and we'll be generally in the mid-90s over the weekend. So, like I said, nothing too hot, and that trough goes on by. It's after that trough goes by that things begin to heat up, and it starts with this offshore wind, a north wind. Probably nothing too gusty, but that will really eliminate the marine layer along the coast. And it's this high and the trajectory of this high slowly moving inland that will set up our hot weather. And this is as we get into the middle part of next week and this is getting into Friday and Saturday, and this is our classic hot weather pattern. When we have this pattern during the winter time, we are in a classic fog pattern, a very dry pattern, the pattern you don't like to see in January. Well, you don't like to see it in June and July either, because this is just a hot pattern. Nothing in the way of onshore breezes. Now, what's going to happen is eventually that high will begin to nudge out, and trying to forecast when the heat will break will be a problem we'll be solving next week. But eventually, another little trough will come by and help to squash the high. But 10, 12 days out, it's going to be impossible to tell you exactly when that's going to happen. But let me back this up. But yeah, this is why we're all talking about a heat wave for next week, and especially likely next Friday and Saturday. So let me show you this in a different way. And what I'm going to show you here, this is 500 millibars. So that's the same level I just showed you, but these are the temperatures at 500 millibars, which is around 18,000 feet. So that's what these color shades are, but you'll also pay attention to these black lines. These are the same lines I was showing you on this map here. Nope, that's not the one I wanted. Instead, it's this one here, these lines here. All right, so let's see how that high builds in. This is that cooler air going by to the north over the weekend, helping to keep temperatures relatively modest. And then as we get into Monday, this is actually Tuesday, a slight offshore wind beginning to develop as that high starts to move in. And you'll notice that the temperatures aloft up at 18,000 feet, they're up around -1, which is 30 degrees. That's pretty warm. I mean, keep in mind, up here, we're usually looking at temperatures around -20 degrees C. Well, at this time of year, 10 to 15. But then this is next Friday. Here you can clearly see the big high overhead. So that's what this closed circle is. That's that big high. And if you look at the wind pattern here with these wind barbs, so the wind goes this way, and then this way, and then it's that offshore wind. And then, yeah, that's the circulation around the high. And that is just a hot pattern for us. That's Friday. And then it just expands into Saturday. And yeah, this is next Saturday. This big high overhead and just very, very warm. And then this is next Saturday. Yeah. And then the high will begin to move out beyond that. So what I wanted to show you here is let's focus on next Saturday. I'll go Saturday afternoon. Okay, this is Saturday at 5 p.m. Now keep in mind, this is 8 days out. So when I show you these numbers and the position of this, all of this can change. But here we have a temperature of -5, which is down in the low 20s degrees Fahrenheit. That's at 18,000 feet. Let's come down to 10,000 feet. This is 700 millibars. And now we have a temperature of around 20 degrees. And that means a temperature of 68 degrees. And again, this is 10,000 feet. So if you were climbing some of the higher peaks around Tahoe, you'd be finding temperatures in the afternoon in the 70s. And if you're down at lake level, well, we'll do that now. Let's come down to 5,000 feet. If you're down at lake level, you're going to find temperatures over 90. Yeah, next weekend, 4th of July and onward, Tahoe and Truckee may be seeing temperatures up around 90 degrees. So this is next Saturday at 5,000 feet, and these temperatures, 35, 36 degrees, these are temperatures in the mid-90s at 5,000 feet. Now, this is probably overdone. A temperature of 36 degrees at 850 millibars, 5,000 feet. That's really, really high. So again, I expect that this is not going to verify because this is 8 days out, but this is what the models are picking up on. And when you come all the way down to the surface, this is what the apps are spitting out, temperatures around 120 to 125. So a little perspective on that. Up until 2 years ago, the hottest temperature ever recorded in Sacramento was 114. We did that back in 1925, July of 1925. We hit 114, and we hadn't surpassed that until 2 years ago when we had that big heat wave in early September of 2022. I wrote these down because I had forgotten the exact day. So on September 5th, we did 113. On the 6th, we did 116. So that is now the current all-time high, 116. The 7th was 109, and the 8th was 113. So what are we looking at for next week? As I said, we'll fine-tune the numbers as we go through next week. We'll likely be over 100 degrees starting on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, probably in that 105, 106-ish range. The days to pay attention to next week are going to be Friday and Saturday, and those are the temperatures, the days we could see valley temperatures around 110, maybe a little higher. But when you see the models spit out a 120, you have to consider that A, that's a long way out on a forecast. B, 120 would surpass the all-time record high by 4 degrees. And consider that the all-time high of 114 stood for almost 100 years. So temperatures even over 112, 113 are very, very rare in the Sacramento area. So yeah, just kind of keep that in mind, a little perspective. So when your app says it's going to be 120, it's probably not right. Is it going to be hot next week? Yes. But it's probably not a good idea to take your app at face value. So what we will be doing, people like me, the meteorologists at KCRA, what they'll be doing is fine-tuning those exact numbers. But do keep in mind that your outdoor plans for the 4th of July weekend, starting Thursday all the way through Sunday, that it is going to be hot, and it's even going to be hot in Tahoe. If you're going to be heading there, you'll find temperatures at or above 90 degrees in the afternoons. And in the foothills, we'll also see temperatures maybe as high as 105 next weekend, with overnight lows in the 70s. So it is going to be the kind of heat that you do have to work around or try to stay as cool as possible. We'll keep you updated on that. In the meantime, on this Friday morning, it's a good-looking day. It's going to be a warm but not overly hot day. Get out and enjoy it. I'll talk with you later.